From a car bomb meant to send a message, to a full-blown war that raged for 8 years. That's how far outlaw motorcycle clubs will go in the fight for power. But there are strict rules to follow. Some clubs are so strict, they've erased their own members for breaking the code, and others have bombed rival clubhouses just to send a message. Each club is split into chapters like branches of a military unit. A chapter controls a specific territory, often a city or region. They have their own president, vice president, and officers, but they all answer to the club's national or international leadership. In today's video, we are looking at the 15 most powerful motorcycle clubs in the world. 1. The Hells Angels. When it comes to the most powerful outlaws, no name hits harder than the Hells Angels. The Hells Angels began in 1948 in Fontana, California, founded by World War II veterans. But it didn't take long for the roar of engines to turn into violence. In 1964, at a rally in Monterey, the Hells Angels attacked a group of black men. Many were left unconscious in the street. It was their first ever violent act, but the message was clear. This wasn't just about bikes anymore, but the real success of the club came when Sonny Barger took over the Oakland, California chapter in the late 1950s. From there, the club expanded across the US and into dozens of countries, and its criminal footprint too. The Hells Angels were connected to drug trafficking networks in North America, Europe, and Australia. Authorities across the countries linked them to illegal firearms, contract killings, and violent attacks meant to control territory, and anyone who dared to confront them would be silenced. But the Hells Angels didn't just turn on their enemies. They turned on their own anyone they suspected of being a rat. In 2014, Joel Silva, a full-patch member of the Hells Angels Sonoma County chapter, vanished. Behind closed doors, something had shifted. Club leadership suspected him of being a police informant and thought he might turn on them. So they made a decision. Silva was lured to a Hells Angels clubhouse. He was instantly killed. But what happened next was even darker. His body was cremated to erase all evidence. For years, Silva was simply listed as missing. His family never got answers. It took nearly a decade for the truth to come out. In 2023, Jonathan Nelson, a senior member of the Sonoma chapter, was convicted of ordering the killing. Before that, the signs were already there. In Quebec, what started as a power struggle turned into open war. The Quebec Biker War, from 1994 to 2002, pitted the Hells Angels against a rival club called the Rock Machine. It left more than 160 people dead, including civilians. One bombing killed an 11-year-old boy as he walked down the street. Another exploded outside a prison guard's home. Today, the Hells Angels are active in over 60 countries. Rivals try to stay out of their way. But there was a club that always challenged the authority of any other clubs, including the Hells Angels. 2. The Bandidos. March 4th, 1966, San Leon, Texas. Donald Chambers had just come back from Vietnam, a Marine trained for war, looking for a place that felt like home. What he built instead was a club for men like him. Outsiders, fighters, the kind who didn't fit in or didn't care to try. He called it the Bandidos. The name wasn't random. It meant outlaw, rebel, someone who broke the rules on purpose. Their motto said it loud: "We are the people our parents warned us about." Their patch, a cartoon Mexican bandit holding a gun and a sword, was meant to provoke. And it did. The Fat Mexican became a symbol on back patches from Texas bars to European strongholds. In the late 1990s, just a few years after creation, the Bandidos pushed into Scandinavia. The Hells Angels were already there, and a war began. In one attack, an anti-tank missile was used. Bikers were shot while sitting in traffic as stunned civilians watched it unfold. Amid the chaos, the Texas-born Brotherhood quickly exploded into a global empire with over 200 chapters spread across more than 20 countries, from the US and Australia to Germany and Thailand. They became one of the FBI's Big Four, outlaw motorcycle gangs, right alongside the Hells Angels, the Pagans, and the Outlaws. But it was the rivalry with the Angels that made their name global. Today, the Bandidos remain one of the most active and dangerous outlaw clubs in the world. Their chapters stretch across continents, with ongoing operations in drug trafficking, weapons trade, and organized crime. But before the Bandidos became a global force, there was one club that started it all. 3. The Outlaws. Let's talk about original one-percenters, the oldest outlaw motorcycle club still riding today. Founded in 1935 in McCook, Illinois, the Outlaws had established their place in biker history before any club. Their motto says very much about it. God forgives. Outlaws don't. Their patch has a name, Charlie, and it features a grinning skull over crossed pistons. They were built on rebellion and survival. While other clubs chased the spotlight, the Outlaws built a reputation on fear. They've been locked in a decades-long war with the Hells Angels, a violent feud that has spanned continents, with bodies stacking up on both sides. In the U.S., they rule the Midwest and Great Lakes like it's their own backyard. While the Outlaws ruled the Midwest, a new force was rising out west, born from rejection, driven by revenge. 4. The Mongols. In 2008, the U.S. government tried to do something no one had done before: take away a motorcycle club's identity. It was the Mongols 1,050 they were after. They launched a massive federal case to strip the Mongols of their patch, their identity, and power. The Mongols fought back, not just in the courtroom, but with nationwide support and deep street-level strength. And they won. That victory turned a club into an empire. Formed in 1969 by Hispanic Vietnam veterans who the Hells Angels rejected, the Mongols built their own legacy, one rooted in loyalty, brotherhood, and power. Their patch is unique among all the clubs. It features Genghis Khan on a chopper. They quickly rose to dominate Southern California, backed by links to prison gangs and organized crime. Today, the Mongols remain a dominant outlaw force, recently making headlines after a deadly shooting at a Phoenix bike event. A reminder that their presence still draws blood, heat, and federal eyes. As the Mongols stormed the West, another club was quietly taking over the East with fire, fear, and no mercy. 5. The Pagans. In 2022, a busy stretch of a 95 near Philadelphia turned into a scene of chaos. A rival biker was riding alone. Then, out of nowhere, gunshots rang out. Members of the Pagans motorcycle club had set up an ambush. More than 20 shots were fired. One pagan was killed, another was hurt, and the rival biker was left bleeding on the road. Founded in 1959 in Maryland, the Pagans rose fast through the East Coast. While other major clubs were expanding out west, the Pagans built their empire from D.C. to New York, block by block, bar by bar. Today, the Pagans are expanding aggressively across the East Coast and Midwest, and making headlines, like in Missouri, where a member recently pled guilty to armed assault tied to club violence. Law enforcement sees them as one of the fastest-growing and most dangerous outlaw motorcycle gangs in the U.S. 4. Where some clubs built power through fear, others earned it by going to war and refusing to back down. 6th Rock Machine MC. You can raid their homes, arrest their leaders, bury their brothers, but you can't kill the Rock Machine. Born in Montreal in 1986, the Rock Machine was built to push back, and when the Hells Angels tried to take control of Quebec's drug trade, they didn't just resist. They went to war. The Quebec Biker War became one of the bloodiest biker conflicts in history. From 1994 to 2002, bombs rocked residential neighborhoods. Drive-by shootings lit up city streets. Over 160 people died, including civilians. For nearly a decade, Montreal resembled a battlefield. Eventually, they patched over to the Bandidos for support, but the alliance brought more problems than protection, sparking internal chaos and putting them in the crosshairs of law enforcement. After sweeping arrests and leadership shakeups, many believed the rock machine had been wiped out. But instead of dying off, they disappeared, only to resurface, rebuilt, and rearmed. Because not every war is loud, some are fought and won in silence. 7. The Sons of Silence, MC. In Colorado Springs, it looks like a suburban dream. Clean streets, quiet neighborhoods, and mountain views in every direction. But when crime does happen, locals know. It often leads back to the Sons of Silence. Founded in 1966 in the nearby town of Niwot, the Sons of Silence didn't make their mark by being loud. They did it by being lethal, loyal, and impossible to infiltrate. What began as a small crew became one of the most feared outlaw clubs in Middle America. Their motto, Donek mors non separet, means until death separates us. And for the Sons, that isn't just a patch. It's a lifestyle. One that's earned them the attention of the U.S. Department of Justice, which officially classifies them as a criminal organization. Today, the Sons of Silence are still active and still under fire. In 2024, one of their top members was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison for drugs and weapons charges, showing the club's deep ties to organized crime haven't gone anywhere. But silence doesn't rule forever. Sometimes, power kicks down the door in broad daylight. 8. The Comanchero MC. The Comanchero Motorcycle Club began in Sydney, Australia, in 1966. But it didn't stay small for long. Founded by ex-soldier William Jock Ross, the club quickly built a reputation for discipline, violence, and raw power. That power exploded into full view in 1984 during the Milpera massacre, a broad daylight shootout between the Comancheros and breakaway members who had joined the Bandidos. 7 people died, including a 14-year-old girl. The event shocked Australia, changed its gun laws, and stamped the Comanchero name into national memory. But the massacre wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. In 2024, Comanchero members rolled into Canberra for a national meeting. Dozens of patched bikers with long rap sheets, posing for selfies outside Parliament like it was a family reunion. The message was clear. They're not hiding, and they're not backing down. Most clubs battle outsiders, but for some, the real war starts from within, between brothers who wear the same patch. 9th Warlocks MC. Philadelphia has always been a city of grit, blue collar, no nonsense, and built on loyalty. In the world of outlaw bikers, the same rules apply, and on the East Coast, few names hit harder than the Warlocks MC. But here's the twist. There isn't just one Warlocks club. There are 2. Both were founded in 1967, both claiming the same name, and both flying the same Phoenix patch. Yet these clubs have no connection, no shared leadership, no alliance. Just 2 outlaw armies, born on opposite ends of the country. The Philly Warlocks, born in the streets of Pennsylvania, were founded by Navy veterans coming home from Vietnam. They quickly earned a reputation for street violence, small in number but brutal when challenged. In 2025, the Warlocks made headlines again after a violent shootout with the Mongols during Daytona Bike Week, a reminder that their decades-old rivalries still erupt in gunfire, even in broad daylight. Most clubs build power through numbers. Satudarah did it by breaking every rule, including who was allowed in. Satudarah MC. In a world dominated by white American-born biker clubs, Satudarah MC broke the pattern and then shattered it. Founded in 1990 in Moordrecht, Netherlands, Satudarah was born from defiance. Its founders were Dutch Moluccan immigrants, descendants of Indonesian soldiers once loyal to the Dutch colonial army. The name Satudarah means one blood. In Indonesian, a symbol of unity, strength, and brotherhood. But their rise wasn't just about inclusion. It was about power. Unlike most outlaw clubs, Satudarah welcomed all ethnicities. The club quickly exploded across Europe, Asia, South America, and Australia, and wherever they went, Violence followed. But they didn't just clash with the likes of the Hells Angels and Bandidos, they drove them out. Even former Hells Angels members defected to Satudarah. What followed were full-blown wars, grenade attacks, and street shootouts that forced police to treat their presence as an international crisis. In 2018, the Netherlands officially banned Satudarah, labeling them a threat to national security. Germany followed, cracking down on chapters across the country. In 2024, Norway shut down its local chapter and labeled it a criminal threat tied to drugs, violence, and organized crime across Europe. In response, Satudarah went underground harder to see, but not any softer. In a scene dominated by noise and chaos, one built a black-clad empire, moving in silence, but never unnoticed. Gremium MC. Born in Mannheim, Germany, in 1972, Gremium MC is the largest outlaw motorcycle club ever founded on German soil. Their symbol, a clenched black fist rising from the clouds, a bold image that reflects their reputation for power and defiance. With over 70 chapters in Germany and many more across Europe, Gremium holds a firm grip on the region's biker scene. But with size came attention. German authorities have long classified Gremium as a criminal organization, linking them to a long list of illegal activities from drug trafficking and illicit weapons deals to prostitution and human trafficking. They've clashed with rival clubs, but more often, they dominate their own turf without compromise. Unlike flashier groups, Gremium keeps a lower profile internationally in Germany. They're the undisputed heavyweight of the outlaw world. Not all storms come with thunder. Some wear green, ride low, and leave chaos in their wake. 12th, the Vagos. The Vagos are a powerful presence on the West Coast and have engaged in brutal conflicts with other clubs, particularly the Hells Angels. In 2011, a deadly shootout at a Nevada casino left a top Hells Angels leader dead. That one moment sparked years of violence, raids, and revenge on both sides. They wear green, ride in tight packs, and call themselves the Green Nation. The Vagos Motorcycle Club started in the 1960s in San Bernardino, California, with over 4,000 members across the US, Mexico, and even Europe. Green holds strong footprints across many regions. Their patch shows Loki, the Norse god of mischief. Police have tied the Vagos to drug trafficking, gun smuggling, kidnapping, and murder. In 2017, the US government launched a massive case trying to take them down, but most of the charges didn't stick. The Vagos walked free. In 2025, a Vagos member was gunned down outside a California bar, part of a brutal turf war with the Mongols that's turning biker rivalries into full-blown street battles across the Southwest. But in Detroit, everything's different. Fear rides quietly and strikes hard. 13th, Highwaymen MC. They're one of the oldest and most feared outlaw clubs in the American Midwest. Their black and silver colors and winged skeleton patch aren't just symbols of loyalty, they're warnings. Founded in Detroit, Michigan in 1954, the Highwaymen Motorcycle Club rose alongside the city's booming industry. But when Detroit's factories shut down and the drug trade took over, the Highwaymen didn't fade. They adapted and thrived. While other clubs chased headlines and expansion, the Highwaymen dug in deep. Detroit became their empire. Block by block, they built a legacy of silence, brutality, and absolute control. Over the decades, the club has been hit with multiple RICO indictments, including one of the largest in U.S. history against any motorcycle gang. In 2024, the Highwaymen put their longtime Detroit clubhouse up for sale, a surprising move for a club once feared across Michigan, raising questions about whether they're backing off or moving underground. But in Jersey, they ride mean and keep it personal. 14. The Breed MC. They were also early innovators in crime. Long before it became common, The breed mech pioneered large-scale methamphetamine production and trafficking, turning clubhouses into labs and highways into delivery routes. Founded in Asbury Park, New Jersey in 1965, the breed motorcycle club earned its nickname, the Jersey Devils, the hard way. Brutal, territorial, and deeply entrenched in East Coast biker warfare, the breed quickly became known as one of the most violent outlaw clubs in the region. Their rivalry with the Pagans MC is the stuff of legend, a constant bloody tug-of-war for New Jersey and Pennsylvania that has lasted for decades. In 2025, the breed MC rode out in force to honor one of their own, who died in a Texas crash, a reminder that for clubs like these, loyalty doesn't end at the state line or the grave. While their numbers may not match the Big Four, their reputation for unfiltered violence and fearless confrontation has made the breed MC a name that still echoes through the biker world. 15th Gypsy Joker MC. In Australia, the Gypsy Jokers shocked the nation with one of the most violent acts in biker history: the 1979 car bombing of a police detective in Adelaide. That attack, tied directly to club members, made it clear they weren't afraid to cross any line, not even when it came to law enforcement. Formed in San Francisco in 1956, the Gypsy Joker Motorcycle Club has always lived up to its name: wild, chaotic, and dangerously unpredictable. What started as a rebellious group on the West Coast soon grew into an international outlaw club with chapters across the US, Europe, and a powerful presence in Australia. Over the decades, the club has been linked to murder-for-hire plots, brutal beatings, bombings, and massive drug operations. In the US, they've had high-profile run-ins with rival clubs like the Hells Angels, especially in Oregon and Washington. Law enforcement sees them as one of the most volatile outlaw clubs operating today. The Gypsy Jokers don't follow the rules, they rewrite them. These were the kings of the road, but even kings have enemies. The kind that don't run, they retaliate. Click on the next video to meet the ones who dared to strike back.